And Dan here from Geekcast Radio doing another comic book haul video. This is where I go through my recent pickups from the comic book store, give you an idea of why I picked them up, what I'm looking forward to, what I might not be looking forward to. I don't do any spoilers, any in-depth reviews for certain books where I feel like there's something to talk about. I'll actually do a separate video where I do more of a deep dive. This is more of a general, hey, this is what I'm reading, this is what I might recommend if you're heading out to your comic book store this weekend. It is Wednesday, comic book day, the best day of the week. The biggest benefit of being a comic book fan is that on hump day on Wednesday, there's something to look forward to. So it's a huge benefit. So let's go through what I picked up this week. It's a kind of, honestly, not the biggest week. Last week was huge, a lot of big books. This week, not to make you stop watching. Not as exciting, but there are some things coming up that I'm really excited for. I will say I kicked myself because I did forget to pick up Pearl, the new Bendis book. I will hopefully be going back to the store to pick that up by itself. I meant to get it. I didn't add it to my pull because I wanted to read the first issue first before I actually decided to add that to my weekly pull list. Unfortunately, it's not here, but it's a book I will be reading. But another book that I will be reading is By Night, number 3. This is by John Ellison and Christine Larson. I've only read the first issue so far, but I picked the series up because, one, I think it's going to be a good book I might be able to get to read to my son one day once he's old enough to read books of this nature. Two, I'm a huge fan of the series Giant Days by Boom, and John Ellison is the writer of that. This is much different than that. To me, it hasn't reached the heights of that series, but again, I've only read the first issue. It's more of a science fiction take, so I'm gonna maybe do a video of the first 3 issues and kind of give you my opinions on those. As this week doesn't have a lot of new series, although some bigger books did come out. Probably the biggest book on the end of Marvel is Extermination. This is the variant cover with Cable, who is a personal favorite character of mine, even though I highly admit that he can be rather dull, and it's more of more nostalgia than anything. But this is the big Marvel event for the X-Men that is happening this week, and this will eventually lead into, I'm guessing, the Uncanny weekly series that was just announced, which is going to be written by Ed Brisson, who's writing this. Kelly Thompson, who has been doing the Gambit and Rogue series. Now it's Mr. and Mrs. X, along with Matthew Rosenberg, who I'll be talking about in a short bit, who's been doing Multiple Man on Astonishing X-Men. I was a little disappointed that one name in there isn't there, and that's Tom Taylor, because for me, he's been doing the best X-Men title. Ed Brisson is a writer that I honestly don't have an opinion on. I've read some of his stuff. I really like his Ballad of Oni, I think. I forget the exact name, but he has this martial arts book through Oni Press. And I wasn't a huge fan of his Old Man Logan run, so I really can't say if I'm super excited. But I thought I'd pick it up because I do plan on reading that weekly Uncanny X-Men series, because, on large part, because of how pleasantly surprising the X-Men one shot, or the weekly series, the Avengers weekly series was earlier this year, and I had no faith in that whatsoever. I thought it was going to be kind of bad because it was going on forever, but it ended up being a lot of fun. It really brought the Avengers back to what they needed to be, and really led into Jason and Aaron eventually taking over the title. It seems like they're taking that same idea, combining, instead of having all the X-Men blue, gold, yellow, just putting it into one book for Uncanny, and then who knows after that. Also interesting that Cullen Bunn, who's been doing X-Men Blue, is not on that book either, but I think he'll be taking over as Guardians of the Galaxy. So a lot of shakeups in the X-Men world, which I think it's sorely needed. I really do hope that X-Men Red gets transitioned to something, because Tom Taylor, to me, has been really killing it with that book in the sense of what I want in an X-Men fan. And we'll see where this goes. So I think this is dealing with the time, displaced X-Men that should have been back in the regular time a long time ago. So hopefully it's fixing a lot of what's been needed to be fixing. I will say I have not been reading X-Men Blue or Red, so I'm hoping I'm not lost when I pick it up. We'll see, but I plan on doing a review of that once I finally read it. This is talking about nostalgia. It's a big week for Cable, I guess, because we also have Cable and Deadpool annual number 1 coming out this week. You know, Cable and Deadpool don't have a current series. We do have a Cable series. We do have a Deadpool series, but no Cable and Deadpool. This is written by David F. Walker, and who I think is one of the most underrated writers right now in comics. His Power Man and Iron Fist book was fantastic. It fortunately got canceled because people don't like good comics, I guess, and it didn't get enough, didn't sell enough copies. Then he got transitioned to the Luke Cage book, which wasn't as good, but got much better as it went on. And then once I think it was hitting its stride, Marvel again canceled it. And he's even been doing the Planet of the Apes book, Ulysses, I think, for Boom, which was much better than I anticipated. That was a lot of fun. So he's a very versatile writer, in my opinion. So I'm really curious to see how he takes on characters like Cable and Deadpool, because I've never really seen him do like more of a straight comedic per se. Although the way he wrote Danny Rand and Iron Man or in Iron Fist, a little bit he was a little bit more slapsticky in a way. So if he could just amp that up, he could probably depict Deadpool like the right way. So I guess there were some comparisons between Cable and Deadpool and Power Man and Iron Fist. You got the small dude, the big guy, just on the physical standpoint, personality wise. So I'm interested to see him take this on. I think David F. Walker should be a much bigger name in comics than he currently is, personally. Also from Image, we have Gideon Falls. This is another book I'm a little bit behind on. I plan on reading it. I think this is the end of the very first arc. So I'm going to do a video of the first arc, give me opinions on it. But I've been enjoying what I've read. I haven't stopped reading it because it's not been good, but I've just been putting other things in the forefront as I've been trying to put out more reviews. So knowing this was coming up, I'm like, I might as well just wait until I get this issue and I can kind of read it all in one fell swoop. But this is from Jeff Lemire and Andre Sorrentino, and Andre Sorrentino I love his art, because I always say this, but when I open up a book by him, I have no idea what he's going to be doing with it. From his panel designs to, I might read a book and see something that no one's ever done before, and I love that anticipation from an artist, much more than say like, oh, this looks really cool. But I've been finding this, if you're a horror fan, it's been slow moving and very atmospheric. There's been a lot of questions and maybe not a lot of answers, so we'll see where this leads off. But it's been fun seeing Jeff Lemire do a more horror book. That's been different. I'm really in love in this series. And I talked about Matthew Rosenberg, and he's been writing Multiple Man. And for me, where the X-Men have been succeeding is not really in the main books, like the X-Men Blue and Red, but the peripheral series, like Multiple Man, like the Kelly Thompson book, and some like the one-offs more so than the actual main titles. X-Men Red, even, I don't know if you would count that as a main book or not. And then the stuff done by Ed Piskar, the X-Men Grand Design. So there's been a lot of great books for X-Men fans this year, but maybe not necessarily the main titles, which is kind of weird. And I think that tends to be, honestly, where Marvel tends to succeed the most, is sometimes their main books may not really be great, but often they're smaller characters like Moon Knight. It feels like no matter who's writing Moon Knight, it's usually a really good series. And Multiple Man has been a lot of fun. Rosenberg is basically taking the insanity that is the X-Men world and saying, okay, let's just lean hard into this, to the time travel, to all the different things, and not take ourselves too seriously. It's been maybe a little too wacky for some, but I found it to be a lot of fun. And apparently this is going to be playing into the eventual Uncanny X-Men run, because of some covers show Jimmy Mandrex. So I guess he's going to be playing a big role in that. So if you're planning on picking it up, you may want to read this series, and you might want to read it because it's been really good. Also coming out this week is Thor, as Jason Aaron continues. This is 80th issue of Thor he's been writing. I've been really enjoying this. It's been a lot of fun. Michael Del Mundo's art, I really like a lot. I know hearing some reviews from people, they don't, and they find it kind of, it is, there's a lot on the page. It varies, it breaks a lot of the classic rules for comics, and the coloring can make it hard to follow at times, but I just find the energy of it, the uniqueness of it, to be so worth it. The biggest surprise to me that has been with this series, and I recently put out a video where I walk through all my rankings of the X-Men, of the Fresh Start books. The only thing with this is that the humor has been kind of turned up to another level. I don't know if that's a reflection of the Ragnarok movie or not, because there's always been humor in Jason Aaron books, not necessarily to that level though. But it's been a lot of fun. If you enjoyed, Jason Aaron knows how to do Thor, so no surprising there. The War of the Realms, really the story that's been building from the beginning. They're finally kind of getting into this with this third act. Another book which I'm kind of indifferent on at this point, but I'm going to keep getting it until it's over, because I think it's only 5 issues, is The Magic Order. This is by Mark Millar and Olivia Coipel. This is this Netflix series, a tie-in, and Mark Millar just announced another book that's coming out. And there's pieces of this where I'm like, okay, that I like. but it does feel like a concept script rather than an actual script to tell a story. I find the characters have been really ill-defined. I still don't know what the stakes are, or what's really the purpose ultimately driving the book. Some of the world building has been kind of cool in the way that they approach magic, and Olivia Coipel's art's been beautiful to look at. But as a book, it's just been kind of a little bit messy in my opinion. And so we'll see. Maybe issue 3 could help fix a lot of those problems, but I believe it's only 5 issues, so that's really has me concerned. If this was a 20-issue series or something like that, or even a 12-issue series, those problems wouldn't be as big of a deal. But also knowing that, Mark Millar doesn't tend to go beyond a certain point when it comes to books now. Even books like Reborn, he'll do 12 issues and maybe won't see it again for a few years. He tends to kind of just stop in, do a series, put in his 5 to 12 issues, leave, and then do another series, and maybe eventually at some point go back to books, just putting as much new content out there as possible. And I think a lot of the new content has been good. Like Huck's was a fantastic book. Reborn's was pretty good. Magic Order has been okay. Not one I think I would recommend, but I'll keep going with it. I'm hoping it improves. Also from the dollar bin, I picked up Savage Dragon. This is similar to what Marvel does with their Troop of Believers. They release a lot of Image books, usually just the first issues for $1 as well. And I don't know if this is sacrilegious or not, but I've actually never read a Savage Dragon book in my life. So I watched the cartoon on USA in the 90s, and that might be, that might just strike. People might be just downvoting this as immediately as possible. But I thought, hey, maybe I'll pick up issue number 1, see how it holds up so many years later for a series that's actually still going on today. So we'll see. It's a book that helped define what Image was, and you have that and Spawn really are the only 2 books we've had. Things come back like Youngblood that have been redone, but that's the series that's still telling the same story. And I got 2 more books. Another series that just keeps going up, in my opinion, has been Doctor Strange. I was a little hesitant, and then the 3rd issue really won me over, so we'll see if that can continue with the 4th issue. I still haven't added it to my pull list. I've just been buying it off the shelf because I'm just hesitant. I'm just waiting for that one issue that makes me want to drop it. But I've been enjoying it, and Jesus Sayez's art's been a big reason why. I gotta also say the Steve Ditko stuff they've been doing, it's been phenomenal. I like that they put it in the front and actually took a lot of pages out to really kind of recognize Steve Ditko and his art. But Jesus Sayez, the painting quality to it, I think it surprisingly fits Doctor Strange much more than I thought it would. And it's basically Indiana Jones with magic and space. So who doesn't like that? And last but not least, we have Archie meets Batman 66 number 2. The first issue was fun. Actually didn't see Archie meet Batman yet, so they're really just building up that anticipation. I do feel like this is a series that should probably have only been a one-shot, but hey, what are you going to do? It's just kind of that fluff little, if you're reading a dark and twisted book like Magic Order and you're like, I need something to kind of cleanse the palate, I think this is where Archie meets Batman comes in. But yeah, that's pretty much all the books I picked up this week. Let me know what you picked up in the comment section below. What have you been reading? Are you excited for all the different Marvel events going on right now? We have Spider-Geddon, we have Infinity Wars, and we have now Deception into Uncanny. I decided, I can't pick them all. I can't read them all. So, or buy them all because it's so super expensive. I'm starting with Extermination, seeing how that goes. I might go into Spider-Geddon. There was like a one shot that came out this week that I didn't pick up. I might read it and see if I like it, but I've been really liking the Amazing Spider-Man series, so hopefully it doesn't derail that, because Marvel does like to do that at times where it's like, this book is going really well, I love what it's doing. All right, well, let's kill that immediately so we can do this event. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But that's it for this week. Just remember, comics are for everyone. The key is finding the right one. Until next time, thanks for watching.